Hello, ranked new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Volt Switch variant of the Eelektross in the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is not supposed to be very good, but honestly I got actually very surprising results, went way positive with this team, and it was definitely not because of the Eelektross, but the rest of the team was literally carrying this team quite a bit, and we climbed up a little bit closer to the legend rank as well, which I still haven't hit, which might actually be this season, the season where I hit it the latest. I've never really hit it in the last month of the season, I think, but maybe it's going to be this time around, who knows. Anyway, we're going to have here the team of Verizion and Aurorus being double weak to flying typing. We need some courage for those Pokemon. We're going to have the Eelektross as a say-stop, also covering water type Pokemon, which you already cover with the lead, which can be quite decent, especially in the current meta, where there are quite a lot of water type Pokemon. And then we're going to have in the back the Aurorus. Aurorus is honestly mostly my favorite Ultra League Pokemon, I have to say, because yeah, like this thing is just very cool against all those flying type Pokemon, which are quite common, like a Mandibuzz, but also can beat something like the dragon types, like the Dragonite, like the Giratina, and has just so much neutral play while being a very cool and very frail typing. Being ice and rock typing gives you a double weakness to steel as well as fighting, and basically a single weakness against nearly everything else. It's a very bad defensive typing, but very cool offensively, and we win the first battle here without even showcasing that Aurorus. Verizion also has the option of going for Stone Edge in theory, which we are not going to run here because we need some coverage against opponents, Verizion for example, but otherwise, for example, Stone Edge would be something that the Galvantula would have to fear, and that's maybe also why they're swapped out of here into that Poliwrath. What we see here already is that a lot of times I would have really liked to have Thunderbolt on my Eelektross, or just in general an electric type coverage move, which I hope Niantic going to give it a little bit of a better one in the future. There are some potential moves that this Pokemon could learn, so hopefully there's going to be some more moves getting added in the future of this game. But here we're gonna see the Liquidation getting the shield from that Galvantula. Liquidation, 20% chance, I think, to drop the opponent's defense, which is actually something that happened quite commonly for me as well, which is kind of cool. Something that also quite commonly happened for me were frame drops again, which is kind of maybe not even a game issue. It was 30 degrees outside, and I don't think my phone really enjoyed this one while playing Go Battle League. Even like 20 degrees, the phone overheats with Go Battle League, so, and that's a flagship phone, so I don't know, like it's still kind of Niantic, I would say. But anyway, let's see here the Mandibuzz, and this kind of the reason why I enjoy the Aurora so much. Look at this nice, delicious damage. That Meteor Beam is going to be able to completely obliterate this one. Bye-bye, one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the meta. Next one, we're going to see the Mandibuzz again. Literally just went down, and now it's back up again against us here. We're going to have our say-swap, of course, of the Eelektross trying to catch a move. It's going to be a Dark Pulse, which is fine. Not the move that I wanted to catch. Would have been way cooler if we would have been able to catch that Aerial Ace, which would have been resisted. But we cannot have it all, as they swap out into a Jellicent, where I was like, why would you do that? That does not really make too much sense, but we will take it. We can just go ahead and go for that Volt Switch damage plus Dragon Claw. But you see already, this is like the issue which I also kind of have in general with the Ultra League. I just don't really like the kind of power creep that's happening in that, where basically all those bulky Pokemon don't even care about the type disadvantage that they have if the opponent is not also bulky. Here we have a very squishy Pokemon, a very squishy electric type Pokemon, and it loses against a Jellicent, which does make no real sense here in my opinion. But at least we're still going to be able to go for the full farm down, I wanted to say, but we're actually deciding to still go for another charge move here, just so we can get the final shield from the opponent, which I found quite confusing. So it must mean they're going to be very weak to us in the back. That's at least what I thought, but it's going to be a Cresselia here now that actually swapped into us as well. So maybe you're going to be able to catch a move on to our Aurorus. Let's see what we're going to do here. We can go for some Leaf Blade spam, as they're going to try to go for a charge move here. Is it going to be a Moonblast? It is, and so it's down to our Aurorus. The opponent still has 3 Pokemon left. We only have our little dinosaur here trying to do its best. Look at him taking that Future Sight like it is nothing. That's kind of good that they don't have Grass Knot. Grass Knot is actually kind of uncommon nowadays, which is quite interesting. But yeah, we're going to be able to get the attack buff as they swap into a Mandibuzz. We have some more frame drops here, which does not matter really because we can go for that Meteor Beam. And again, Mandibuzz goes down. Mandibuzz doesn't have a great day here today. And Aurorus sweeps the entire team from the opponent, which is quite ridiculous. Look at that dinosaur go brrr, and we can move on to the next opponent. So, we're going to have Verizion in lead here. That's going to be quite a neutral matchup for us. We can have to stay in here, of course. If we can take a look at our backline, yes, we have super effective coverage on our Aurorus with that a Weather Ball plus Powder Snow, but our Say-Swap has literally nothing that we can really go against them, like a Dragon Claw. There's barely any damage. And so we're going to see as well something interesting. We're going to lose the CMP tie. We have 11 attack on our Verizion, which is of course quite high, but apparently the opponent just also has a rate encounter there. We have some more frame drops, which don't really matter because we saw it before already. We lose the CMP tie, but I kind of still want to align myself, and so I use a shield here. And either the opponent gonna use a shield as well, which they don't, or I would be able to just get a little bit of more farm onto them and get them a little bit lower, so Electros would be able to volt switch them down. But here we can still go for some Dragon Claw damage against the opponent's Feraligatr, getting the first shield from the opponent, which can be kind of crucial as we can try to go for another one here to get no shield actually, as they're gonna knock me out very likely with that Hydro Cannon. We are not real bulky Pokemon, but we actually still survive and try to go for the full farm down, but it doesn't work, and maybe the Dragon Claw would have helped me out a bit here. But now it's down to Aurorus again, as they're going to have a Tapu Fini in the back. This is not going to look too good for us. We can go for the Meteor Beam, trying to do as much damage as possible, but we kind of have to maybe catch a move or something. We have to see Weather Ball getting very likely the shield here from the opponent. They don't really want to risk anything, but it's down now to some frame drops, and the opponent is just going to be able to now knock me out, and there's not a lot that I can do there. Even if I stopped out, I think I had no chance of winning this, but of course frame drops does not make it easier to catch moves. Feraligatr in the lead. That's going to be quite a good one for us. As I swap onto the Verizion, we are forced to stay in here because, yeah, we have nice type Pokemon, but Verizion is also part fighting and does double super effective damage against our Aurorus, and so we are forced to stay in here, but at least we have one fast move advantage, which can guarantee us alignment later on as well, which can be kind of cool. But we have to see what is going to happen next. We're going to get the shield from the opponent, which we can now retaliate with our own shield. This is going to be okay, as that is going to allow us to go for another Sacred Sword. If we get them a little bit lower, we should be able to Volt Switch them down, and yes, this should be kind of range for that. We can catch the move here. Sacred Sword is doing less damage than the Leaf Blade does, I think like 5 less damage. So we're going to now let another move go through, very likely going to be the Leaf Blade now, which is going to do quite a bit more damage actually, and we can go for the full farm down and align ourselves. Alignment can be quite key here, but we have to see what they have in the back. They're gonna swap out into a Cresselia, allowing me to go for the Liquidation. Should maybe even get the debuff here. Let's take a look at this. Yes, we can. Defense is going to drop, and this gives us a little bit of hope, at least in this matchup. While it's going to be quite a bit awkward, it's going to be hopefully okay. They're gonna swap out into the Feraligatr. Now it's down to our Verizion to try to knock that Gator out. If we just get them low enough, that would be fine as well, because then we can Powder Snow them down. But it's still not really a beautiful matchup for us, because as you're gonna see, they should be able to survive this Leaf Blade. They have quite a decent amount of bulk, and yes, we will see the Hydro Cannon knocking us out now. Now it's down again to our Dinosaur to win this battle. Aurora is gonna do its best, farm them all the way down. And as you can see, the opponent is gonna decide to go ahead and go for a Future Sight, and Meteor Beam is coming through now, which is hopefully gonna be enough. It is not, but we have to reach another Weather Ball. Can we do it in time? We can do it on a CMP tie, and this is going to win us this battle here. That's going to be all set for the first set as well. Actually, I think there is a one game still missing, which is going to be later on as well, because it's just a 4-1, but that's totally fine. We can move on to the next opponent. Cresselia in general can be a little bit of a core breaker, but it is what it is. We're gonna see the swap out into the Gliscor actually, which we can hit super effective here with that Liquidation, which is quite a nice tech play, as I can go for a Dragon Claw against the opponent. I think this game I kinda mess up a bit. I decided to use a shield here, and this was a huge mistake in my opinion. I should have tried to just win this battle with Aurorus at this point, because I know Aurorus is my only answer to the Cresselia, and I just kinda have to hope that there's something in the back that I can beat with that. But I decided to use some shields here on completely bad decisions, basically, both on Night Slash, and I also decide here to catch an Earthquake onto my Aurorus, which doesn't make any sense at all. And they're going to have a Lantern in the back, which I guess would have been difficult anyway, but I can still try my best to come back from this game. There's still some options, at least, that I can see. The opponent makes a great play by basically not trying to knock me out here as fast as they could, because this is going to allow them to swap out a little bit faster. and they don't want to give me as much farm with my Verizion. But this is the only way of me winning this battle, is getting farm with Verizion, because I have to land at least like 4 leaf blades, I think, against the Cresselia in order to have a chance here. So we're gonna go for the full farm now. They swap out into the Cresselia. First leaf blade is coming through now. This is going to be able to do like 20% maximum. That is absolutely right. Like, leaf blade is one of the strongest moves in the game, especially for that energy that it only needs. But we can at least go into our Eelektross, go for a liquidation, get them a little bit lower. But again, this is not even range for another leaf blade, and so this is looking quite dire here. But wait, actually, we have even more energy than I expected here. We still can get to another leaf blade in time. Not with this Cresselia, but it depends on what they have in the back now. Like, how healthy are they? Let's find out together. It is going to be that Gliscor with 1 HP and a Lantern with 1 HP, and we can actually still flip this battle. Another horrible ET is going to be Annihilate, but we have to stay in because of the Aurorus in the back. We cannot allow them to get the Annihilate onto Aurorus. Actually, first idea for this team, which you saw as well in the Community Day guide, was to run Trevenant in the lead, which would help me out a little bit with this matchup here, but it is still kind of better to have Verizion for other matchups against other water-type Pokemon. I was a little bit too worried about Feraligatr, and I think rightfully so. Like, Feraligatr against Trevenant is not a good matchup for the Trevenant, and I kind of really needed something that can beat that Feraligatr, as this is a very common Pokemon. Here we will see the Greedent swapping in, which is really not ideal for us, because this Pokemon has a super effective fast move of a Mudshot against our electric type, also very spammy with Body Slam, and also kind of one of the most annoying Pokemon in the Ultra League. I really don't like this thing. And also, kind of funny enough, I'm not capable of playing this Pokemon. Every time I try this Pokemon out in the Ultra League, I kind of, like, do not so well with it, I would say. But maybe there's like a skill gap to this Pokemon. I always kind of align it against Annihilate, so that's not really ideal. But anyway, we're going to see here the Body Slam coming through, not knocking me out, and now it's down again to our Dinosaur. Let's see if our Dinosaur can do something. A lot of times, Annihilate gets paired with some flying type Pokemon, so hopefully it's going to be the same here as well. I'm gonna let the potential Night Slash go through here, which we can easily take, and it's going to be in the back the Ampharos. That is still playable, as we are gonna try to go for that Weather Ball bait, which works out super well. We can try to reach another Meteor Beam as well here, as the opponent goes for a Thunder Punch. This is going to be a very close matchup. Meteor Beam is going to connect now, doing a ton of damage against them, but not quite getting the knockout, as we are going to let them move go through without our shield. It's going to be a little bit difficult to shield up things anyway. But our Verizion actually can still win this one, and we can move on to the next opponent. This is basically the worst possible Pokemon I could encounter. Deoxys. Deoxys is going to be able to beat my Elite, is going to be able to, of course, beat like our Say Swap. Like, I don't have to tell you that Eelektross is not going to be the greatest in like matchups where you don't have super effective coverage against the Pokemon. Like, this Pokemon is just here for the memes, to be fair. But as you're gonna see, we can still at least try to do something here, as they're going to have a Galvantula swapping in here, but in the Shadow variant. And honestly, them being a Shadow actually quite changes a little bit here. We got the defense drop immediately, which is kind of cool, and also we're gonna get another shield straight away afterwards from that Dragon Claw. But because they're Shadow and because they got all that energy now, look how much damage they actually do against our Aurorus, and that's quite a bit, as we are going to be forced to use a shield now against the next one. The opponent is going to still be able to get to another charge move before I could reach that Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam would, of course, like, we would not win the CMP tie anyway, so we kind of had to go for that Weather Ball now afterwards. This is going to be able to get them a little bit lower, but now we have to rely on our Verizion. They have still a flying type in the back with Mandibuzz, and that's kind of good game. But honestly, there's still one way of maybe winning this battle. We still have this Weather Ball stored, and this Weather Ball can kind of maybe win us this battle here, because we still have the shield advantage. We have to hope that this shield advantage is going to carry us. We have to use a shield here onto the Aerial Ace. Double super effective move, of course. We can still try to stall out the turns a little bit with our Sacred Sword, but we are not right there yet, and the opponent can go for a charge move in this kind of good game. We can still survive this one, but like, what are we gonna do against the opponent's Deoxys? Not a lot, especially if they're going to be able to knock me out before I can go for the Weather Ball. Aerial Ace is going to be too much here. I still try my best, I still try to go for a Sacred Sword, but this is going to be a CMP tie, and I'm fairly certain that this is not going to be able to knock them out, and so yeah, this is going to be a good TM to the opponent. Nothing I can do against the Deoxys defense form with this team. Final one for today, we're going to have a positive lead, you might think, but it's actually not as positive as you actually expect here, because Icy Wind is going to be super effective, Counter is doing quite some decent damage, and so we are in a spot where I would like to land one charge move just to put them also into range, where maybe even the Weather Ball from our Aurora is going to be enough to knock them out. But as we will see here, I can swap out into the Eelektross, trying to take a hit from them. It is going to be that Scald. They don't get the debuff luckily, and they can swap back out into a Gliscor, allowing me to go for another charge move here. Liquidation, doing super effective damage, trapping this Pokemon again as I try to reach out for the Dragon Claw. I'm gonna let the move go through this time around, and I can go for the full Farmland. But I make a mistake here by swapping in straight away into our Aurorus, because now I'm switch locked, and I did not really want this one to happen here, but I could still try to swap out as soon as I can. They're gonna swap out into that Registeel. We can go for the Sacred Sword against the opponent, and let's see how this is gonna go. This is going to be able to get the shield from them. We can try to go for another one, doesn't work. They decide to go for a charge move. It's going to be actually that Zap Cannon dropping my attack. Great play by the opponent, because now they can survive the moves a little bit easier. But we're still gonna go for the Leaf Blade against that Poryrath that tried to catch a move there. And now it's down to those, debuffed Sacred Swords against a Registeel, plus my Aurorus in the back. Here's the cool thing, you need 9 turns to get to 1 Sacred Sword on the Verizion. If the opponent goes for a Focus Blast and knocks me out, if they had 100 energy, they still need 10 turns to get to the next charge move. And so, even with the frame drops here, we're going to be able to outspeed them, and this is going to be it for this video. This team actually worked out super well. I hope you all had a great community day for the Dynamo, and yes, this is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like and check out the video on the screen about the Eelektross in the Great League. Yeah, see you then, bye bye.